After Renaissance came a time in history that called Baroque Times. Now, Baroque Times, people see every time they learn more and more how to do things better, and came a time in which people became so fancy. They thought, oh, everything has to be elegant, everything has to be decorated, everything has to be very beautiful. And so these are the Baroque times. Baroque times is when people started using wigs on their head. Have you seen a picture of George Washington? He has a wig on his head, right? Those times were Baroque times. All the men started wearing wigs, white wigs with little buckles, and they thought they looked so fancy. And what happened to the dresses of the girls? The girls in the dresses in Renaissance times were all straight, but suddenly, poof, they went poofy, and the girls had big dresses, and I bet it was really difficult to dress in the morning with those big things, and fancy hairstyles and feathers on their hair. People became so fancy, they decorated everything. Oh, walls plain? No. They put gold, and they decorated with a lot of gold. They decorated everything. Those times that are so fancy and so decorated are called Baroque. Baroque. So let me show you a picture. It's hard to see it because it's on black and white, of some Baroque times. So this is like a concert in a palace. Can you see the girls' dresses? And look at the men. What do they have in their heads? Wigs. See, and somebody's playing a flute, but look at the clothes, and he also has some wigs. See how fancy they are? And do they have electric lights? No, they have candles. That's why everything is kind of dark, because there was no electricity. They just had candles. So everybody's playing music, and these fancy people are listening to the music. Do you see how much fancy they are than in Renaissance times? Those times are called Baroque. Baroque. And they decorated everything, like the instruments, the everything. Let me find this organ. This is an organ that actually Johann Sebastian played on it. Now let me show you how it is. Do you see how it's made of gold? And it's actual gold. They actually used gold to make it. But see, they didn't need to decorate so many things. Look at all those decorations they put. Everything is very ornamented, like lots of ornamentation. That means lots of decorations. Those things are from Baroque times. The most important composer of Baroque times was Johann Sebastian Bach. Here is his painting. It's a portrait of him. They didn't have cameras in those times, but somebody made a portrait of him. Is that his hair? Nope, that's a wig. You can see it's a wig. And he has some music in his hand to show you he was a composer. When they made a portrait, they made it like this to show he was a musician. Now look at that. That's his own handwriting. This is Johann Sebastian Bach's handwriting when he was making that music. And remember how we saw in Renaissance times how the music was so simple lines? Look what happens with the music in Baroque times. Look at, this is the music from Johann Sebastian Bach. Does it look easy to play? I cannot even read it. Can you imagine playing all of that? Yep, that's what we heard it, like when we play the rondeau. That's what music looked like. Even the music became very decorated, very ornamented, very rich. Those times are called Baroque. So when you see people with wigs, you know that's Baroque times.